Hi, welcome to the video. I'm going to discuss Irenaeus, his book number 5. I believe it's chapter 30, paragraphs 3 and 4, if I remember right. So it's in the title, the exact area I'm talking about. So I want to talk about it and some of the issues that I see that has led many to believe that the book of Revelation, the vision of apocalypse was received by John towards the end of the mission's reign. So I just want to give some of my thoughts on it. First off, you go to the description below. There should be a Google Drive link to the PDF that you see here. And if you move your cursor in the upper right hand corner, it'll give you the option to download. This is actually my downloaded version, so that's why you didn't see the option there. I recommend that because by doing so, it will allow you to have layer control if you open it up using Adobe Acrobat Reader. All right. So this has to do with word association. So as you can see here is layer Antichrist. That's just red here, all this red. So when you click on that on and off, you can see in the right the red appearing, disappearing. That's the red layer. That's the word association with the word he. Let's go over here. If it would have been properly translated as he. Where let me turn off the layer John here. Okay, so you can see the word he, it connects to a lot of things. Okay, so it covers quite a bit. Whereas if you go over here, now this is the original Latin translation, the word it. Now Eusebius quoted from the Latin translation by Irenaeus. He used the word that. So yeah, so this is the sentence that's an issue here. Let me just zoom in there. For it was seen not very long time since, but almost in our day. So the word it can go either way, it or he, based on the rule of the Greek. Now keep in mind, we do not have the original Greek fragments. I have a theory behind that, I hope you don't mind me sharing. I think when the translator translated from the original Greek fragments into the Latin, they saw huge red flags. I think what they did was by deliberately getting rid of those original Greek fragments and then mistranslating or giving it a different spin is be sweeping underneath the rug the heresies of Irenaeus in the book Against Heresies. That's my theory. I wasn't there, but it really looks like it to me. All right. But everybody's going to have to reach their own conclusion. So this word it, if we understand the Greek, it can be either it or he. It can work both ways. If this line here, we're associating with the word it back here in the previous sentence, and then that would associate back to the name of Antichrist, who Irenaeus thinks was Titan, this guy by the name of Titan. All right, so it can work either way, and so yeah, so its basic rule of grammar suggests that word like it would be always referring to something in the previous sentence. So we're actually not defining basic rules of grammar here. It's actually in the same sentence. So yeah, so it actually flowed very well. The problem is the word it is referring to apocalyptic vision. I don't think it fits with the rest of the sentences surrounding text at all. It just doesn't fit. And we have to understand what is paragraph 3 and 4 are all about. So it tells us right here to await the fulfillment of the prophecy. All right, so that's going to be on your radar. I mean, obviously he's writing this. This is something that's really big on his radar in the cognitive awareness. So what prophecy is he talking about? If we go down to Revelation 17:8, that's the prophecy he's talking about. All right, and so so when he said, when this Antichrist shall have devastated, in Irenaeus' mind, he thinks it's tightened. All right, and so that's what he was trying to get at with the sentence here. He was hoping that John, who received a vision of the apocalyptic vision would been able to identify whether this Titan guy was the Antichrist that John was thinking of. That is what's going on here. All right. This has nothing to do when he received a vision. Okay, it doesn't change either way. Either way, he already had it. It's already running. It's already awaiting for the fulfillment of prophecy. So obviously, in Irenaeus' mind, it has already kicked in. All right, it's completely irrelevant at this point when. Okay, it doesn't add any value to surrounding text. He already believes in his mind that he's awaiting the fulfillment of the prophecy, Revelation 17:8. All right. So it had no bearing whatsoever surrounding text. So the futurists who believe that it was referring to the vision itself, it has no value surrounding text whatsoever. All right. So anyway, yeah. So some people believe that the word he would be referring to John. And I'm going to try to share with you briefly why I don't think that is the case. Why is unlikely referring to John? If we click on here, it gives you the list of emperors. So, let's see here. So Trajan was the one that Irenaeus in books 2 and 3 pointed out that John seen up until Trajan. Okay, so he already covered that in books 2 and 3. In book 5, the he, okay, we got to figure out who the he is, was seen trying to end Domitian's reign. So when I read that, it seems it doesn't make any sense if Irenaeus already pointed out John was seen up until Trajan, that he would still be talking about John again, this time only seen towards the end of the Domitian reign. This seems to suggest he's talking about somebody else. All right? It's completely redundant to say that John was seen turning into Domitian's reign. It had to have been Titan. Because again, he already covered John was seen up until Trajan. Okay? He's already covered that. And so, by recognizing that he would have been Titan who'd seen towards the Domitian reign, now we're getting a complete picture what is going on. You know, he's John who saw the apocalyptic vision, who was seen up until the time of Trajan, was hoping that he could identify whether Titan was the 666 or not, who was seen towards the Domitian reign. Okay, and it fits the timeline beautifully. All right, so that is what is going on. So if you just click on like against heresy 334, this here, it'll bring you right to it, and you can scroll down right to it near the bottom. And the same thing here, 220.25. You can see it for yourself. So I'll just click on one of these. See 5. Saw not only John but the other apostles also. All right. Let's see here. Remain up to the time of Trajan. Okay, so there it is right there. So, so you can verify it for yourself. So there's something I want to throw in the mix here, and I feel it's really important. On a scale of 1 to 10, how trustworthy is Irenaeus? What's his level of integrity? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being utmost integrity, 1 being like I'm just not going to trust this guy. I actually give Irenaeus a 1. I do not trust this man to save the light of the day. If he was alive today in my church, I'd be like walking away from the guy. Okay, this guy, he comes across to me based on his writings, and I only share this with you because we need to exercise extreme caution when we read about church fathers. They could be trying to make a name for themselves. They could be trying to, gain rank from the church, trying to legitimize the church. They're willing to fabricate anything to gain rank, to move up the corporate ladder. And that's exactly what I see Irenaeus. He just strikes me that guy. I'm not trying to demean him or whatever. I'm just sharing this with you. We need to exercise caution. And this guy is no exception. All right. So anyway, so as you can see here, with the word association he, There's a lot of flow here. That tells you the amount of cognitive activity with Irenaeus is really high. All right, it pertinent to the name Titan. All right, so it flows with both paragraphs. All right, but if we just go with the word it only pertaining to the apocalyptic vision, it doesn't go very far. It just doesn't cover anything. But if we refer to the word it as name of Antichrist, it actually flows with all this red as well. I just only added this in here so that you can see that the possibility that it actually flowed pretty good. So anyway, I think that covers that. Again, I find it strange that a lot of original Greek fragments go missing. When you have somebody that has moved up all the way to the top in the corporate ladder in the church, and he writes a book against heresies, and it gets translated, and oops, the original Greek fragments went missing. That to me raises a bright red flag. I think they were trying to sweep the heresy underneath the rug, deliberately mistranslate, and it takes a Greek Latin scholar to really see the possibilities along there. I'm only looking at one thing here, and I see a bright red flag. And I'm combining this here, I believe, is a mistranslation. There are other people that don't think it's a mistranslation and still think it all works. Gary DeMar is one of them. So he has a book called The Early Church and the End of the World. Put a lot of time into it and effort. I encourage you to go on American Vision and check that book out. You get the digital version for $10. So otherwise, the hard copy is like a lot more than that. So anyway, yeah, and I just want to add a note. Gary DeMar, he's a great teacher, very respectable guy. I encourage you to look into his works and a lot of the subject matter. So anyway, yeah, I think the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. So one thing, last thing I want to add, and this is very important: the effects, the fruit that Irenaeus' works had on the church today, it's detrimental. Just the last message I heard at my church, I listened to the lead pastor, and he completely misapplied 1 John chapter 3 to the wrong audience. And it's because the effects of Irenaeus' work has had on this particular teacher. We have to understand that John was an apostle to the Jews, not to Gentiles. All 12 apostles were apostles to Jews. So in their writing, they're only writing to Jews who came to Christ. All right? So Paul, on the other hand, he's an apostle to Gentiles. He would go back and forth between Jews and Gentiles. All right? So, for example, when John, who's writing the book of Revelation, he's only writing to Jews who came to Christ. These were the Jews who studied their history. They memorized Scripture. They memorized their history, so they knew their stuff. So when they received a copy of the Apocalyptic Vision, it would have sprang to their mind what the author's intent was. Where the Gentile, back then, they receive a copy like, I have no idea what this means, and then into the trash it goes. All right, so because it did not apply to them, it only applied to the Jews during that time. Fortunately, today people think it's written to the Gentiles, to the church, if you will. Now, Jews came to Christ. We're the church, okay, but what's in view here is the judgment of the 12 tribes of Israel. Gentiles were not a part of that, okay. So just something to think about. And what I mean by that is that Jesus said the house of Israel would be left desolate. The house of Israel were Jews who were 100% Jew by blood. Not 50%, but 100%. So Josephus, who wrote Words of the Jews, he was only 50% Jew. He was not part of the house of Israel, so he continued to live on. He was not part of the judgment of the 12 tribes of Israel. And he saw the Jews who fled from the temple, who were heading on their way to the 1260 prophecy, which was ended with the judgment of the 12 tribes of Israel. But he did not follow them. He stayed behind at the temple. But it would have been a whole different story if he would have followed them And wow, okay, and then everybody would know what happened in the 1260 days of Revelation 12:6. But there's enough information in the Bible where we can kind of figure that out on our own, and that's where it requires exhaustive study and good sound hermeneutics. So anyway, I think that wraps it up. I think I made my point. So yeah, if you click on this and get the Greek grammata for Titan, this I think it's translated to Greek first. Um, or let's see here. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah, and again, we need to exercise caution when it comes to church fathers. Don't lean on them as a cornerstone of truth, because the instant you do that, what ends up happening is something that is false that you think is true. You end up molding the scripture around that, and good luck realizing that it was actually false. It takes a lot of work and study to purge that out, which is the world of hearsay in Christianity is just flooded with a lot of false information, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling. So you're welcome to use this however you like. You have my permission, and thank you for your time, and hope you continue to enjoy your studies. Thank you. Have a great day.